So are you there, Mick?
Yes, I'm here, Brian.
Okay. Well, just set the scene. Mick Harby, of course, is the ex-Royal Marine who's been with us on the show twice, I think, to talk about what's happened to him in his life since he's left the service. And Mick has been fighting in the courts, not only his own cases, but to reveal essentially the corruption which is now going on within our courts. So that's another story. But with him in the shop was Mr. Coles, and it's Mr. Coles that's really got this incredible story to tell about what's happened to his wife. So, Mick, I'm going to pass it over to you. Give us an introduction, or between you, give us an introduction and tell us what this whole thing is about.
Okay, initially what it was, I was going to Exeter Court in relation to my own cases, just to put some paperwork into the court. And outside the court, I seen Mr. John Coles here, and he was sat in his car with leaflets on his car asking for some help. So I went, briefly spoke to John. He seemed quite upset, so I went into the court. I filed my paperwork, which literally took me about 5–10 minutes, and I came back to his car, and he started to tell me his inability to have access to his wife, who is in a care home. John has been quite well known within Exeter, at the bus station, in the town centre, outside the courts, trying to advertise and bring awareness to people of how he's been treated within the judicial system. So if John, if you'd like to first of all basically trying to explain the story to Brian of what's happened to you.
Mr. Coles, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to explain to our listeners very politely that, of course, you have a little bit of a limitation on your hearing, and
Yes.
And so if we need to clarify some of the things that you're saying, we'll come up and just repeat some of the things, just so that everything comes across as easily as possible. But thank you very much for coming on UK Column Live. We know it takes a bit of courage to actually come and do something live, and so we're very keen to hear what's been happening to you and your wife. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, my wife was went in the hospital. She came out of hospital, went to another small hospital. The social service come along, said she had to go into a nursing home. I said no, because the nurse was coming night and morning to see my wife, and I was looking after during the day. Social services said she's got to go in a nursing home, and they put her in a nursing home. Well, while she was in there, things happened. I said, I used to do a lot of voluntary work. Is there any voluntary work I can do? Yes, we got a big garden at the back. Would you like to clean it up? Yeah. So the wife used to sit in a wheelchair on sunny days and watch me clean the garden. Got the bit, well, I was cleaning the garden, taking the stuff down the council yard to get rid of it. And one day the rubbish was full of ants. I put it in the car, the boot of the car. The next thing, the car was full of ants. I wouldn't do any more. Then they started to get nasty with me, and listen, my wife, I took my wife back on a Christmas Eve. We went to my daughter's for Christmas Day, dinner and tea. After tea, I took her back to the nursing home, put her in the nursing home, and I wasn't feeling too well. I went home and I told her I'd be back in a few minutes. Well, I was back within 15 minutes to my wife. When I got in the nursing home, I couldn't find her anywhere. They said she'd gone into somebody else's room. We went into every room to see if we could find her. We couldn't find her. I walked down the passage there, whether I heard anything, whether I didn't.
Just calm down, mate. Calm down.
Whether I did hear I opened the airing cupboard door, tried to open the airing cupboard door. I couldn't do it. She'd gone in the airing cupboard and fell down. A little nurse had to get through the side to get her up to get her out again. That was one instant. One morning
can I just stop you there? What John's basically saying, Brian, is because obviously he's getting quite upset. We need to keep this quite calm and get the points across. Is you start to make complaints? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So what John's saying is he's seen that he wasn't happy with the care of your wife. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I was happy with the care, but more could have been done.
Okay, right.
Right, so if I just bring you back to something you said at the beginning, which I found very interesting. Your wife was in a big hospital and then went into a smaller one.
Yes, sir.
And then you said they said she had to go into a nursing home. Were you actually consulted in that decision?
Pardon?
Did they consult you? Did they ask for your opinion when they said to
yes.
you? Right.
Yes, I went with my son-in-law to see a nursing home. I didn't like what I saw.
Right.
And I went to this other nursing home. I wasn't all that keen, but they said, oh, it's near your house and it's quite close to you.
Right.
So we put her in there. So
Okay.
they put her in the nursing home.
Right, so your wife goes into the nursing home and then there are several incidents when you become concerned at the way that she's being treated.
That is correct, sir.
Right,
That is correct.
and you make a complaint or you make several complaints.
Yeah, I made a complaint.
Right.
Get him out of here, he's seen too much.
Right, okay, so you make a complaint and then what does the nursing home do or say to you?
Well, I'd seen too much and get him out. They got social services to
Right.
get me out.
And
Social service done the damage.
and how did what do you mean when you say social services got you out?
Well, they went to court and things like that. They came to my house. They came into my house, social service did, without being asked. Two of them, a man and a lady, came to my house, knocked on the door. I was upstairs with my sister doing my bedroom. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to see them. In the end, I went down and they came around the back of the house, came in the house and sat in my house.
Right. And so what did they say to you?
Pardon?
What did they say to you?
I can't remember all of it, sir, but they really went telling me, you won't see your wife. You won't see your wife.
Just so I've got that right, you were saying that they told you you wouldn't see your wife.
That's right, sir, they did.
And did they give you a reason?
No.
And how long ago was this?
About 3 years ago, sir.
And so is it 3 years since you last saw your wife?
That is correct, sir. That is correct.
And they have prevented you from going into the nursing home to see her?
Yes, that is correct, sir. That is correct.
Right. And it's gone through the courts.
Yes, sir.
And what are the courts saying to you? What-
I can't see my wife till next March.
And what reason are they giving you for that?
Pardon?
What reason are the courts?
Yeah, no reason. I had no really a reason why they done it.
Right. And what sort of court was it? Was it a court with a jury, or were you just in front of a judge?
A judge and a lady. The lady was there. She never said a word. I don't know who she was. She was sat with the judge. There was 4 staff in court, and one of the staff got up in the court, went in the witness box, and had the Bible in her hand and the card, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and she was telling lies, sir. She was telling lies. And I said, she's lying. Quiet, please. I said, it took me out. And she was definitely lying, sir.
Right. And then the decision of that court was that you were, presumably, you were not to go to the nursing home and attempt to see your wife.
That's correct, sir.
Right.
I couldn't even give her flowers. I had to give my friend flowers to take down the nursing home to give the staff to give to my wife. I was not allowed to go down myself.
Right. We've taken a decision today not to talk the detail of the name of the nursing home, but I'm going to ask you: would you tell us where the court was that you went to where this happened?
Exeter, Magistrates Court in Exeter.
No, family court, isn't it?
On
Is it family court?
the county court, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it means, was it the family court?
No,
Where I met you?
yeah.
Yeah, it's outside Exeter Combined Court, Brian. And from the details that John's passed to me, it seems that's in a closed door family court, as we're quite familiar with. With no press officer there, no public, just closed door courts, you know.
Was it? Do we think it was a magistrate, or was it actually a judge?
Was it a judge?
Judge. I'm not sure it was.
Right. So, of course, Mick, you'll be picking up on this very quickly, that this decision was made behind closed doors by, we think it's a judge, with a single person giving testimony for the other side. And was Mr. Coles on his own? Did he have any form of legal representation with him?
No, he was outside the court on his own. He's been running a petition for people, the members of the public, to sign his petition. He was outside the court. I know you've had legal representation for a few years. Is that correct?
Yes.
But nothing concrete was established, or I'll rephrase that. Nothing positive for John has been accepted or progressed. So it's as if, from the conversations I've had with John, as if he's been blocked, and as the experience I've seen with some of these courts, his evidence has been used and has been ignored, and you said false evidence has been put against you, obviously away from the public, which we can't see. So it seems like another regenerated story that we've become quite familiar with. So I was just basically walking to the court. I seen John sat in his car. He seemed upset. I sat down and talked to him for a little bit. We went and had lunch together, didn't we? And had a coffee and that. And I then started to get a few details. And obviously, this was nearly two weeks ago. Right. So,
but this is a very, very. I'm using the word development, because we've followed all of the family court cases where of course children are being taken away from their parents, and I personally had the experience of sitting in some of those courts with parents. Mm-hmm. I have seen social services people get up, as Mr. Coles said, they take the oath, they then proceeded to lie to the court. I've seen documents claiming a pack of lies, essentially perjury. I've then seen the judge say, oh, well, this is a simple mistake by social services, so if I had done it, or the other side, the parents had done it, it would be perjury. But when children's services do it, it's dismissed as a simple mistake. So I have personally been there and experienced the system of being in a closed court, and then public officials lie and skew the truth in order to achieve their objective. But this case, sorry, just to push the point home, this case, we are seeing a husband and wife separated within a closed court. So no jury, no press, a single magistrate, and on solely the word of presumably somebody from social services, this
nursing home, sir.
Pardon?
The nursing home.
It was only on the word of the nursing home.
Yes.
Right.
Because essentially what struck me with this particular case, Brian, was the fact that, as John's explained, he started to make complaints from the conversations we've had, and this is where the blockages come down. You know, and that seems to be common practice. You know, so he's made his complaints, and then it's been turned onto you, John, where they inventing, from what it seems, inventing a problem and holding John responsible for that. For that problem, basically passing the buck or blame onto John because he's had concerns about the treatment of his wife. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. And can I ask how, I understand that it's only friends or other relatives who are getting in to see your wife at the moment. Do you know how your wife is at the moment? Is she in reasonably good health?
No, I don't think so. I ring every night and every morning, and they tell me she's had a quiet night or a quiet day.
So you don't even actually get to speak to your wife on the telephone?
No, I never spoke to my wife on the telephone.
Right. And is your...
a quiet night, quiet day, and then sometimes they do hold the phone. A lot of times they put the phone down on me.
Right. Okay. And when you've been into court, I think this is an important question, because one of the things we watch is essentially how much money solicitors and barristers are making from these terrible cases. But when you've had a solicitor presumably helping you, were you paying for that solicitor yourself?
No, I never paid anything. The legal aid.
Right. So essentially, the longer your case goes on, the more money that law firm can actually take out of the public purse.
Can you tell Brian about the letter from Birmingham in the taxi?
Oh yes, a lady come to Birmingham with a letter for me to sign. She was supposed to read it to me, sign it, and take it back to Birmingham. She came and I signed the letter. She never read it. She jumped in the taxi and went again.
So basically, the legal aid, or the money that was paid out, was to bring a letter all the way down from Birmingham in a taxi to get John to sign, to go all the way back to Birmingham just to sign that document. So the point we have here is the money to be spent on that resource just to get a taxi from Birmingham to sign a document to go back. It makes no sense, does it? So these are sort of payments that are getting paid out to these people, or the expenses that are getting used.
Yeah. And Mr. Coles, if I can ask you, have you spoken to your local MP?
Yes, I've spoken to Bradshaw quite a few times.
And can you just tell me who is your local MP?
It's Ben Bradshaw, Labour.
Oh, it's Mr. Bradshaw. And what's Mr. Bradshaw done for you?
Nothing. I think he wrote a few letters for me, but he did nothing.
The first day I met John, after we had lunch together, I suggested to John that we go down to the MP and pay a visit. And I went in and spoke to the secretary, and they confirmed pretty much everything John had said to me about he hadn't seen his wife for 3 years. Again, trying to put the brunt of the blame onto John. I come out with suggestions that I'm happy to obviously find out more about the situation, but I'm here as a member of the public to help John, and I'd be happily assist to go in with John so he could see his wife. I'm happy to do that to ensure, there is no controversy getting displayed, because all you want to see is your wife by Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah. There's one thing, sir. The doctor said he'd go with me to see my wife. I'll ask him at the nursing home if you can. And they said no.
Right. So we've got a nursing home, and can I ask, you may not know, but I'm sure you will, is it a private nursing home? Or
yes, it's private.
So this is a private company which is actually being able to dictate whether you can see your wife or not. Private nursing home which is being supported by the local council effectively to stop you seeing your wife.
Yes, the local council pays for my wife.
Right. Well, I've got to say, Mr. Coles, that I've been doing this now for several years. I've heard some absolutely horrific stories to do with families and what's happened to their children. But your story, which I've heard for the first time live here this afternoon, I find absolutely disgusting. I could use some other words for it. But some of it does not surprise me, because we are clearly seeing local councils and private companies starting to take more and more things into their own hands. In short, they're making the law up. But Mick, you've quite rightly picked up on this case. I think that people that are watching UK Column Live and listening to our broadcasts, I think there's going to be a huge number of people out there and other members of the public who would like to get involved and help Mr. Coles.
And this is the element we've got to look at. This is in the public interest. This is our older generation who has done service. Now, John served in the army with the Gloucestershire Regiment, and the Glorious Gloucesters, I think, is the nickname of that particular regiment. So he's worked all his life. He's served this country, and this is pretty much how we treat our older generation. And I'm not going to walk by and see an old man like John in this situation, because he was distraught when I first met him. It has been a few times since we've spoken, and people can't turn a blind eye to this. This is in the public interest, and in my opinion, how I look at it from my own experience, and especially from looking at John's experience, is if the judicial system is failing, then who do we go to? Where is our remedy? It's with the MPs. And as John's clarified, Ben Bradshaw has done very little, next to nothing. And what struck me as quite interesting was I was reading the Western Morning News this week, and Ben Bradshaw's in there promoting himself as a good Christian. Well, if anyone is in opinion of myself, this is at Christmas time. John just wants to deliver a bunch of flowers to his wife, thank her for the long marriage they've had together. And at this time of year, I would say this is when I would have thought Ben Bradshaw or any other MP or anyone else in that political arena could step forward and do something for John, because the people are doing something. You know, where's our remedy? Where's John's remedy here?
Okay. Right, Mick, what I'm going to say, thinking on my feet, I'm also watching the clock a little bit, because we're going to, in about 3 minutes, we're going to have to move on with the rest of the topics we've got. This is what I'd like to say. I am absolutely appalled by this case. It's clear that the remedy has got to be in the hands of the general public. The general public have got to solve this problem. So we will do our part by obviously getting this broadcast out. I'd like to call this afternoon live on air for any members of the public that are watching this broadcast, and if you feel as aggrieved as we do about what's happened to Mr. Coles, I think that we should be calling Mr. Ben Bradshaw, calling his office. I will make a call after this programme. Okay. Let's start putting some pressure on the MPs and getting them to do their job. The other thing I'm going to suggest is this, since John is an old soldier, let's get some of these charities that say they are there to support the military, let's get them on the case or see why they won't support. And also, if you're in agreement, and I'm sure you are, you're going to stick with John, then we will work with you to get this case fully into the public domain, because I believe it's going to be solved by sheer weight of public opinion.
Well, that's the only way it can move forward now, isn't it? Because I don't know if you feel this way. I'm sure fairly similar. Is that I feel we're getting let down constantly. I will add though, we have had an MP who has generated some interest in this story, but I can't really give any details or developments on that because it's only materialised in the past 2 days. So there is interest there.
One of the things I would say is, of course, we have to watch very carefully. The politicians love hiding behind a little protocol which says that MPs can only MPs can't get involved directly get involved in the cases within within other constituencies. We've seen this being done to the families, but if there is an MP that's starting to pay attention, then obviously that MP deserves support and encouragement.
Well, I know from Twitter, I'm not too familiar with Twitter and Facebook, but there has been also generating quite a bit of support, like what happened to me when I got sent to prison for merely giving presents and Easter eggs to my children, is that the public, the general public, will make that difference. And I'd like to thank two individuals, Samantha and Tamara, who have helped me develop and try and move on John's story and get the public interested in the alternative media like we're doing now, as John has been doing everything he can around Exeter and bringing awareness that way. Okay. So it's combining these two together. I think it seems to be working and cause and effect.
Okay. Right.
The way-
Mr. Coles, I'm going to say to you, thank you very much for coming on UK Column Live and
My
telling.
wife fell in there and broke her hip and was taken to the RD&E. She did fall.
Right.
And then, no.
Okay. Right, Mr. Coles, we're going to have to move on.
Yes,
I
sir.
will work with Mick to do whatever we can to help you
Thank you.
be reunited with your wife.
54 years of a wonderful marriage.
Okay. All right. Thank you both very much for coming with us. We are going to stay with your case. We'll do everything we can, and I'll liaise with Mick to see how we do that. But I will make a call for you straight after this show.
That's absolutely brilliant, Brian. Thank you very much.
Okay, and
Thank
we
you,
will do another programme for you.
Thank you, Brian. You're very, very kind.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, there we are. Isn't it absolutely, I was going to say astounding, but I think the correct word is horrific, what is actually happening in Britain in 2012. We have our politicians fomenting wars overseas, and we have this horrific behaviour by the so-called public services going on behind our backs. If we're going to deal with it, we need the public to wake up and realise that the real criminals are in Westminster. Now we're going to move on with an interview with Robert Green, which is